Mitchell, your background blur's still on.
I said that on purpose. I said it on purpose.
Everything is usually has a purpose, whether we want it to be or not. Some just want,
I'll blur it. Everything's
power.
good.
Some want money. Others, they just want to watch the world burn. Welcome to Bat March, where we dissect and review every Batman movie that exists. Live action wise, anyway. Prepare to experience a movie like no other. This one is so engraved in people's memories that 13 years from now is probably the best Batman movie of all time. 13 years later. Which reminds me, you want to know how we got these scars? Blame it on the clown. Or rather, blame it on the bats in our belfries.
Nice
Salutations, my fiendish film fanatics. I'm the Silver Screen Slasher, and welcome back to Batmarch. And please
welcome back.
And please give a huge round of applause to my friends Spike Greene, Film Reject, and Mythicool. Say hello, everyone.
Hello, I'm the Film Reject, and I reject films that aren't worth mentioning.
Today we're looking at The Dark Knight, released in 2008, the sequel to 2005's Batman Begins. And as I mentioned, this is what many people think is one of the two best Batman movies of all time. Right
alongside the 1989 classic.
Agreed. I believe that one of the many reasons why this movie is so loved is because of, well, as I pointed out with the copy I'm showing, the guy that got to play the Joker, the late Heath Ledger, who sadly he passed away before the movie even came out.
Mm-hmm. Well, thankfully,
also, by the way,
it was in post-production in January 2008, and was released in July.
Oh, by the way, still, in case you don't mind, I would like to actually do the little introduction.
By all means.
When this film came out, it broke all sorts of box office records and pleased audiences and critics all around the world. It truly is one of the best Batman films ever.
Yeah, it was nominated. This film was nominated for 8 Oscar awards. However,
Oscars.
However, Best Picture was not among one of them, unfortunately.
Thought so.
Surprisingly, due to the Hollywood system, normally comic book movies aren't given the big Oscar treatment. That's just how it usually is.
But though the film did win Best Actor.
Yeah.
Which is given to.
Keep in mind, it was a posthumous award for Heath Ledger.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So, let's dive into The Dark Knight, and we'll basically see why we're all being so serious about this one.
Because of its serious tone, although it was well done and not taken too far.
The film actually opens with probably one of the best openings I can ever describe for a comic book movie. A slow-paced and well-thought-out bank heist, mainly done all by what seemed to be goons in clown masks. Kind of like yours, Mr. Greene.
Where'd you learn to count? I just thought I'd wear the mask for a little while. I thought I'd blend in with that. But I think that that sequence is quite well done in the way that you're thinking it's a sort of a normal robbery. And of course everyone who's seeing this review has seen the movie. So spoiler alert for everything in the movie.
Yeah. By the way. No one spoilers, everyone.
Yep, and so really I just think that it's interesting to have the Joker disguised among his own villains, and it sets up his ruthless nature early, not only with people that he are just strangers, but people he works with, he just doesn't care. He's a sociopath, just that Leon is fantastic. Bang,
Despite his sociopathy, he's also been given a backstory, but if you listen carefully to what the Joker says in one moment when he gets his blade.
But I'm never sure what backstory's the real one in Dark Knight, though.
Yes. Not to mention, one interesting thing though. If you watch this movie with subtitles this first time around, you'll notice that he's first credited as Bozo instead of as the Joker.
I was looking out for that. I couldn't tell he was Bozo until he undid his mask. I knew the names were in the subtitles because I always watch with subtitles.
Another thing I want to point out is the incredible nod that the mask actually give. See, the mask that the Joker was wearing to disguise himself is actually a nod back to the first appearance of Cesar Romero's Joker from the 60s. Hell, it was the same. Hell, it was a very similar looking clown mask and all.
Yeah, I've seen that episode, by the way. And also, I might actually say a few things about the Joker. Because, speaking of, I was actually going to save this for another part, but I guess I might include this sort of, little part of the category, at least from my part of the script. But, the part where he tells his creepy backstories, one about his father and one about his wife, truly is, the way he just talks about them and describes them truly is intense and creepy, but also, it also gives us a bit of an inside look, I guess, to the backstory of the Joker and his life before he became what he is.
Agreed.
It's like the Joker came out of a horror film and inserted himself into a crime drama.
And do you know what else I actually like about Heath Ledger's performance? He really does try his best. Like, he is so into the role. Like, at times, I shouldn't say at times, throughout the entire film, he's almost like, for real, a real serial killer or whatever, like a terrorist. Like, he truly is psychotic.
They really did ground the film.
Yeah. And turns out, to perfect this role, he locked himself in a hotel room for 6 weeks just to perfect what sort of character the Joker would be.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. That's what I've heard from certain documentaries.
Some people were worried about his mental health, but for those worried, like I was, his family came out and actually said that he was actually having a lot of fun doing the role, and that his death had come of something else. It wasn't playing the Joker was affecting him or anything.
Yes, but we all know that once you get that certain roles have a bit of a curse. I mean, hell, just look at the Superman curse. But actually, no. I'll save that topic for later.
Okay, I was trying to make people feel better. Are you sure it's not disrespectful to bring that up?
To be honest, if I'm gonna bring up the Superman curse, I want to bring it up. In a proper review. Let's
cut out. It's all good. Okay.
That's just another story for another time, kids.
Let's just move on.
At this point, one other thing that you have to take note of is that every time one goon's job is done, and another one of the goons just straight up kills them, which is all part of the Joker's plan. And
literally throughout this heist, what's so kind of stupid about them is just they kill each other as they're working with each other. Once they got what they need, they just start killing each other kind of one by one.
Yeah,
but probably because of Joker's psychopathic nature.
Yeah, not to mention, even his first line is a little bit hilarious. When one of the last few goons tells him, we bet that the Joker told him to kill him as soon as they wanted the cash, he simply replies, "No, he killed the bus driver."
What bus driver?
And then he gets run over by a bus.
And then there's some other guy who just, of course, comes out and says, "Well, this is a lot of money," but then Joker just goes like.
But enough about that scene. Let's analyze another particular scene, and that is the moment in which they find the fake Bat. In fact, I think that fake Batman story arc, just that little thread, is well done in a way.
Actually, before we get to that, no, hang on. There's another part I want to get to first. The opening scene, where as well we see one of the few villains from the previous film, the Scarecrow, played by
once again played by Cillian Murphy.
And do you know what else I like about this scene? It's just, as Batman is chasing Scarecrow down, right, he just comes crashing down in his car. And That's probably like one of the most, at least, well-known scenes from the film. Just the way he lands on the roof. It's just so cool.
Not to mention,
from a higher place.
Yeah. Plus, pointing out the fact that before Batman even starts kicking ass, it turns out a whole bunch of copycats showed up as well.
Oh, and do you know what else I like about one of the copycats? Specifically, one named Brian Douglas. He says, "What's the difference between you and me?" And he leaves one of my favorite lines ever.
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
Despite the movie's darker tone, there is also humor in it too.
I mean, seriously, guys.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, really. Who would picture Batman wearing a muscle suit with hockey pads underneath? Honestly.
And let alone, that could never be the real Batman. We suspect that, and they suspect that in the film, I guess, in the way that we see the criminals as the antagonists traditionally, and they still are, but then they're sort of the audience surrogate in the way they say, Batman has guns, or something along those lines.
In case you don't mind, but I just kind of want to summon the plot just to at least kind of, and we'll get to some of the best scenes, of course, later on, but just want to summon the rest of the plot pretty much.
Well,
pretty much the rest of the plot is that the Joker's point here is, or his plan is just, as Alfred even puts it in one point of the film, some men just want to watch the world burn. So yeah, he pretty much wants to watch the world burn.
But, however, you're missing one key element. Most of the plot actually focuses around one particular character, and he is my second favorite Batman villain. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Harvey Dent, played in this film,
known as Two-Face.
aka Two-Face, played in this film by Aaron Eckhart.
Yep.
And he actually, and coming off this film, probably have to think, going into this film after coming off of Thank You for Smoking, I think this role suits him well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I especially like Aaron Eckhart in this because, I will admit, this film really does focus quite a bit on Harvey Dent. But do you know what else I like? The more they show him on screen, right, the more we get to know him and the more we get to care about him.
Exactly.
It makes good character time and good character development, especially the time that he has with Rachel. I also feel like, because I'm not sure if you remember, but if you watch our Batman Begins review, we did sort of complain in a way that Rachel wasn't like that much of a strong character in the previous one, but in this one, I feel like she's a little stronger, especially when she had the balls at Harvey Dent's charity event, which we'll get to later on. But yeah, where she even said to the Joker, "Well, okay, stop."
Yeah.
She even kind of stood up to the Joker himself. One of the most psychotic villains ever.
One thing that should be pointed out, though, and is something that I did mention back in the Batman Begins review, it's that the actor playing Rachel was replaced. So instead of Katie Holmes, this time we get Maggie Gyllenhaal, who I'm assuming is related to Jake Gyllenhaal, who played Mysterio in Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Oh yeah.
Is she actually?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
One question though, Spike, since you possibly know that, is she like his cousin or possibly his sister?
I think that she's a sister, but I can't remember if she's older or younger right now.
Yeah.
I can. In fact, by the way, if you see me searching anything, you've probably seen the lights going on and off my face. That's because sometimes I'm just looking at my notes, for the episode itself, just to check. That's all.
Oh, and also, I must say, I want to actually get to a little bit more of Harvey Dent, but also, when he does as of course, at one point, people consider him, well, the White Knight, as they call him.
Yeah,
but... You know what's so great? What's so great about him as well, just to give you an idea how much character development they give him, they also pretty much make him like one of the best, faces of justice. Just to give you an idea, all I heard is that when we do get to this part, because I will also talk about this part, but he's pretty much been responsible for cleaning up most of the streets of Gotham. Just to give you an idea that even at some point, Bruce Wayne, of course, aka Batman, played by Christian Bale once again, but he even sees potential in him. Like he pretty much says he pretty much is Gotham's future savior.
And what was that?
He's almost thinking at some point, maybe Batman should disappear one day. Like maybe he won't need to be Batman anymore.
And what was that? And what was that slogan he used? Oh yes, I believe in Harvey Dent. Which one though?
I know
what's also so great about Harvey Dent and also a bit tragic about him is that of course, when he does get that fortunate disfigurement or whatever from an explosion, and yes, Harvey Dent actually, in one part as well, him and Rachel were abducted in some warehouses or whatever, full of explosives. And one of the explosions, of course, as Batman was saving Harvey Dent, he did accidentally, get his face burnt. And can we just agree, though, guys, that Aaron Eckhart's disfigured Two-Face, of course, just looks so amazing. Holy crap!
I think it absolutely looks amazing. Just check that out.
He really does look disfigured there.
And that's taking advantage of the visual
medium. That's
medium.
a more realistic Two-Face.
And I'm just saying, obviously, because I'm not even joking, I did put this in the script, but it's obviously way better than the Joe Schumacher version.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Yeah.
And plus, the Harvey Dent's quote really reflects to what he has become. You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. In fact, he has lived long enough to become the villain.
It's excellent foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. That's what.
Not to mention, one of the best things in this movie is the three-way relationship between Batman, Harvey, and Captain James Gordon, played once again by Gary Oldman.
And if you want to know how he becomes Commissioner Gordon, originally, of course, there was a guy named Commissioner Loeb, but in one part as well, the judge got blown up in her car, and Commissioner Loeb drank something, probably some poison or whatever, and dead. So Gordon pretty much became now the new commissioner.
You know what I really admire Nolan in this film for? Because he's not afraid to kill characters off, and when he kills characters off, most cases they're dead. It's not like any normal superhero movie.
That's true. But one thing I want to point out, and it's something that actually it got my attention real quick. Some of the storytelling elements of The Dark Knight, I feel like they actually took some storytelling elements from a particular Batman comic, and it's one of my personal favorites, Batman: The Long Halloween. Specifically, how Harvey actually became Two-Face, and not to mention, it happened in one of the most realistic ways. But first, let's get to one of probably our favorite scenes in the entire movie, the interrogation scene.
Actually, before we get to that as well, just one last thing I want to say about Harvey Dent. I guess I just remembered another part of Joker's plan, pretty much, because Batman says it literally the last few minutes of the film. He said that the Joker also wanted to prove that someone as good as Harvey could fall.
What did I say again? I know I'm not.
Anyway, Silver, let's get to the interrogation scene.
Never start with the head. Never start with the head.
Fuzzy.
The victim gets all fuzzy. You can't feel the neck.
You can't feel.
The interrogation scene between Batman and the Joker is by far one of the most perfectly acted out scenes in the entire movie.
It sure is. It's also one of my favorite scenes, and it's probably also one of the most famous scenes.
Hell, it starts out with Batman just bashing Joker's head against the table. Oh, and like I mentioned, and never start with the head. The victim gets all fuzzy. You can't feel the next. You see?
Yeah. Oh, and also, I must mention though real quickly, and if it's obviously not obvious, but I'm also going to say this on the behalf of the people who haven't seen this film yet. But warning: this Batman film is, for real, honestly, a little darker than the other ones, honestly.
And not in a dark Batman sort of way, like in a tragic way.
Yeah.
Because it turns out after Harvey he faked being the bluff Joker, saying he was Batman, and got Joker captured in the process. It turns out both Harvey and Rachel were kidnapped off screen, but we don't know where they are. So Batman has to both physically and psychologically battle the Joker in this interrogation.
Oh, and I also like the way that interrogation scene is done, where as Batman is punching the Joker, and he's like,
You have
But what,
nothing you can do with all your strength.
one thing that I really admire also about this film in terms of the Joker's character arc is that they let him basically win in the end. He may not win physically over Batman, but he wins proving that good men can go insane, as he did to as Two-Face ended up, as you know.
As I pretty much actually kind of said before.
Long story short, Joker lost the battle, but in the end, he won the war.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and besides, as the Joker says in one part of the film, it's not about money. It's about
sending a message.
message.
Everything burns.
Oh, and also, in case you don't mind, but I just real quickly as well want to get through most of the intense scenes, at least to me, in my opinion. Next is the part where the Joker, well, probably another one of my favorite scenes with him in it, blows up the hospital scene.
Yeah, right after he manages to get Harvey out of there after his, unfortunate incident.
And I also like the way that's done. It's the pacing and the way he walks out and everything. Everything is shot at the right time and everything was done at the right time. And I also like in one part where the Joker is trying to blow up another part of a building, but he's like, come on.
Yeah.
And then he's just...
Yeah. To be fair, it wasn't all timed perfectly. See, during that scene where Joker had walked out of the hospital, some of the explosion, some of the demolition charges hadn't actually, gone off. So Ledger's reaction to them not going off was totally genuine, especially when he just like.
Which was also kind of funny in a way. Oh, and also probably another one of the most scariest scenes is, well, in one part where Harvey Dent and the mayor are having a normal conversation, and as the mayor is literally about to look outside, out of nowhere, Brian Douglas is one of the copycats who pretended to be Batman. But yeah, his dead body appears out of nowhere, but this time with the Joker's, well, face paint on it, pretty much.
Mm.
And then we get also one of the most scariest scenes of all time, as I like to call the Joker interrogation scene with Brian Douglas.
Joker's little
news broadcast, I guess you can call it.
Yeah, his little black box.
I was going to say, mate, I also talk about the depiction of violence in this movie because there's only two real notable instances with blood. One where Harvey's on the picture, there's blood around him, just a little bit of, speckles or whatever. And another one where the body hits the window. But otherwise, there's no blood, there's no gore. And yet, the film manages to effectively imply violence. For example, in the scene where Joker has the knife in the guy's mouth. And, he just ends up, doing...
Yeah. You don't see it happen.
And the scene where Joker pretends to do a magic trick and make the pencil disappear.
That too.
And when a mob member comes by, he shoves the pencil up his arm.
But my favorite part of the scene where he slashes the guy's mouth is the fact that you see the body and you see the knife in the mouth, but then you just see this guy's reaction. His anguished reaction is like.
Do you know what else I kind of maybe possibly would consider a bit of a scary or kind of a bit of a graphic still sort of scene? Well, I wouldn't say graphic, but you know what I mean. But yeah, as he's talking to Brian Douglas, he says, "Tell them your name."
Tell them your name.
Brian Douglas.
Are you the real Batman?
No.
What
Why do you dress up like him?
And that's another very effective scene. I like the way I like the way that you can hear his screams without seeing the grisly nature of it. Like I've seen plenty of gruesome films, but I would argue that scene may even be more effective psychologically because of what they don't show.
Yeah, I know, because it's even when they don't show what happens to him, still makes it scary, at least by the sound effects. But yeah, I want to quickly summon the rest of that scene up because it's just so dang good. Oh,
look at me.
Look at me. See, this is how crazy Batman's made Gotham. You want order in Gotham.
Tell Batman to take off
every
his mask.
day he doesn't take off his mask, people will... And every day he doesn't, people will die. Starting tonight. I'm a man of my word.
I mean,
I'm not gonna lie.
geez,
My reaction
seriously.
to that scene was like,
No joke. The first time I saw that scene, I peeled my pants alone.
Oh, wow.
holy shit! I know, right?
Seriously, I was like 12 years old when I saw it. It was scary.
Understandable. I mean, I was 12 when I first saw Batman Begins, and I reckon that I got a little bit scared when Scarecrow appeared.
I think that back in
Not anymore.
2008, I believe that I was only like 2 years old when that came out.
Damn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 2 years old only.
So
Wow.
you
And
weren't even old
also-
enough to watch it.
Yep. Oh, and also, probably the very last scary scene. Actually, no. Now thinking about it, the last two scary scenes that I can think of is the part where the Joker gives two detonators to two groups of people on two ships. One to a ship
Yeah,
full of
each
dangerous
detonator blows
criminals,
up the other ship.
and one to the civilians. And do you know what I liked about that part? It was he pretty much gave either the civilians or the criminals to blow each other up. And do you know what else is so great? It's pretty much literally the civilians versus the criminally insane. And honestly, that was kind of cool in a way.
Yeah, it's the sane versus insane. Each boat is given one detonator to blow up the other ship.
And you know what's so scary about that as well? It's just the way it's done. It's just they literally have so much trouble trying to figure out, oh gosh, when should we blow each other up or anything? Because as old Joker said, if you don't beat this timer or whatever, then I will blow you guys up for you. If you know what I mean, pretty much.
But you know what's ironic though? The fact that one of the criminals actually makes a smart decision and throws the detonator out the window.
Yeah, I honestly did not expect that, especially from a guy that looks so dangerous. I was like, oh no, he's probably gonna blow them up or something, isn't he? But he's like,
I swear to God, at one point I mistook him for Michael Clark Duncan.
Yeah, I thought
oh,
it
and
was.
also, what's also so great about him actually in a way is that he actually honestly made a pretty smart decision when he said as well to the warden or something or someone anyway, where he said, and I'm gonna do what you should have done 10 minutes ago. And boom, he just literally throws the detonator out the window.
Was that really Michael Clark Duncan?
Yeah, which officially it racks up 1 point for the criminals and for the bad guys for making a smart decision. Much better than any of the dumb civilians and who kept squabbling over what to do.
And now the very last intense scene that I want to get to is probably honestly my favorite one and probably one of the most intense scenes like literally ever. The one where Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face, holds Jim Gordon's family hostage.
Exactly. And it's back to where they all started. With Harvey, Batman, and Gordon. And
you know what's even more sad? He's literally, for no reason still, even he doesn't care, it's, at one point he's almost, and I mean almost, is about to make the decision to either, well, of course, let his little son live or die.
And it's not about what he wants. It's about what's fair.
Yeah.
Yes. And he decides to... And in the end, he chooses how their fates is going to be with a single coin. As he puts it, unjust, unbiased, fair.
And I just want to talk about it as well real quickly. Can we just admit that the action in this is just fucking phenomenal?
Yeah.
Yes. Whereas the action in Batman Begins was okay.
It was still good,
Knight,
but not amazing.
Has improved.
Dark Knight ramps up the action all the way up.
Especially like the scene where the helicopter comes crashing down. Just the way it was shot and everything. Holy shit.
Hell. Even in that vehicle chase, the Joker wasn't holding back on his humor. Because at one point, he set a fire truck on fire.
And
truck?
Yeah, I get it. And you know what else I like there? In one part, as he's driving a truck or whatever, he just says, well, I don't know why, but I just like doing his laugh so much. But he's enjoying it so much that he goes like,
One of my favorite practical effects set pieces, as I mentioned in the Batman Begins review, that Chris Nolan uses set pieces a ton practically. And he only had one take to get this. So he had a truck, and it was going down the street, and it literally flipped forward. What you see in the movie was an actual truck flipping forward on a closed street.
Damn.
Yeah.
Of course, all good things have to come with sacrifices. And one of the major sacrifices for Batman is the tumbler. It gets heavily damaged during the vehicle chase, and in the process, he has to discard most of it in favor of probably one of the most versatile vehicles in the entire series, the Bat
The
Pod.
Bat Bike.
Actually, it's known as the Bat Pod, and as you eject from the rest of the tumbler, it self-destructs.
Oh, almost forgot, but we almost forgot to mention also two other really cool scenes. The part where Joker comes into Harvey Dent's little charity event, says, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and tonight
we
we
are
are tonight's entertainment." Now,
You have
only
one
one
question.
question:
Where is
Harvey
Dent?
Dent? Just anyway, we already as well covered actually a bit of that scene a little while ago, so we're not going to do it again. But yeah, still another great scene. Love it. And the very last one is another very iconic one where the Joker's like, come on, I want you to do it. Hit me.
Come on, I want you to come on. Hit me.
Hit me.
Another note about that scene, where I'm pretty sure that if you were, just as Batman swerves, just to miss him, you might miss it if you're not looking really carefully, but you could see Heath Ledger just saying, "Ah, fuck,"
Well, what would you expect? They were playing a game of chicken.
Anyway,
I mean, you can't hear him say it, but you can see him mouth it though.
I'm not gonna lie. I just realized though, Silver, you won't even need to cover the ending because I believe we just kind of covered it already just a little while ago.
Not entirely.
Now thinking about it, not entirely. We did forget to mention one other, scene, but I'll let you explain the rest of it.
Very well. Harvey, Two-Face decides is the way that all their fates lies enough of his special coin. For Batman, it lands on the bad heads, shoots him. Then it's his turn. Good heads. Then he points, and then it's Gordon's turn. As he forces Gordon to tell his son that everything's going to be okay. He tosses the coin in the air. Then Batman rushes him, and with them both going off the balcony, with the coin landing good side up. But in the process, Harvey Two-Face dies from the fall. Batman decides that he is the hero Gotham needs, but not the one it deserves. So he decides.
He even asked, surprisingly, actually, he even kind of asked Jim Gordon to for him and his men to chase him for the next at least few weeks, maybe even months, maybe even years. And yeah, of course, it pretty much ends with him running into the darkness of night, being chased by the policemen and dogs.
With the bat signal destroyed, and Wayne Tech's sonar division, and with the sonar attack destroyed by Lucius Fox, played by Morgan Freeman, Gordon tells his son about what Batman truly is: a watchful shadow, a dark knight. And there you go. That was our review of The Dark Knight. And what the else can we say about it? It's fucking awesome.
Oh, I agree.
My opinion is just honestly, real easily, and that is as Silver pretty much just said, it is fucking fantastic. The action is amazing. The intense horror sort of thriller scenes are amazing. Heath Ledger as the Joker is amazing. 10 out of 10 performance for him. Christian Bale, he's just as good as last time. I'm not gonna lie, I think he's even maybe a little better. And gosh, I tell you, just what a fucking phenomenal sequel. To me, in my opinion, one of Christopher Nolan's best films of all time. So I give this film a 10 out of 10.
I definitely agree with you. I definitely agree with you on their Reject. This is probably the best Batman movie we're ever gonna get.
I actually recommend this also to comic book fans and to movie fans in general.
Agreed.
As do I. I mean, honestly, with the upcoming, with Matt Reeves' The Batman still in production, we're still in the dark as to what this version of The Dark Knight Detective is going to be. But in the meantime, we have movies like The Dark Knight to keep our bat pleasures is entertained. So, just like Reject, I give this movie a perfect 10 out of 10. Spike?
All right. I was first going to ask Mythical.
Oh, yeah. Well, the action scenes have improved. Heath Ledger does an awesome Joker. Harvey Dent, its character development is well done. And what else? The themes and its darker tone, but not too far or poorly executed. It's well done. And there is still humor, like how Batman responds, I don't wear a hockey mask.
I mean,
And the
hockey
scene
pants.
where, what's it called, Bruce Wayne is sleeping in the meeting room.
I mean,
And all the lines and twists and turns. And pretty nerve-wracking scenes. Therefore, I'm going to give The Dark Knight a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 out of 10.
Yes! And finally, I would like to give it personally a 11 out of 10.
That's pretty
6
high.
out of 5.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
In
as
the
Silver
words of
said
the great,
before, that was our review of The Dark Knight.
I was going to say, in the words
What
of the great
about
Chris
Spike?
Buckman, I'm going to give this film an A+. Cue the choir.
Now thinking
next
about
time,
it, I'm also thinking to kind of do this on Silver's behalf, but maybe even give your comments on what you thought about this film.
I recommend it to everyone.
And actually, now think about it, even do that with some of the other Batman films, just to as well show Silver quite a lot of love.
next time on Bat March, we're going to be looking at the final film in the Nolan trilogy. The one that, honestly, people consider to be not something that tops The Dark Knight, but is a solid conclusion. Next time,
Solid one.
we're taking a look at The Dark Knight Rises.
But not only that,
Until
we'll
then,
be taking a look at the
see you
last
soon,
installment
friends.
of the trilogy. See ya.
See ya.
Bye, guys.